Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Just doing some quick tests here to see if I can get the background music working. All right, I want to see what the normal audio level is. Sorry for the live testing, trying to figure out some of these levels here. I'm going to be getting started soon. I'm just trying to tweak a couple of things here and mess around my setup. All right, I see what's going on here. It's going to get loud. Sorry. If I mute I'm trying to figure out what that buzzing sound is. All right, so let's see if these audio levels work. Whoa. Is that from the background music? All right, I think I fixed all the audio leaking. Okay, let's do one last test and then I guess I'll get this stream started. The delay is quite a bit here. All right, so let me pull up my preview window and then I can get started. All right, close enough. All right, I'm gonna put on the coming soon and then I will be back in a minute and let's just let this work while I try to organize myself. I'll be starting in a second. I'm just trying to get this background music working, but it doesn't seem to want to cooperate. All right, I don't care anymore. All right, let's just, for some reason, like everything's just breaking on my laptop. I can't see the previews of anything and I can't get the music to work. So I will deal with that another day. So I was trying to get everything organized here. I am, now I actually want some music because I'm sitting here in silence. So I started a new project to try to get Lovable to connect to my database. And I've been playing around a lot with fixing this workflow. So let's see here. I have this window is going to, let me just close this window. Just bear with me for a moment while I try to figure out myself and what I'm doing here. How do I want to do this? All right, let's create a new tab. We're going to go to my coder instance, and your signed out of your session has expired. Yes, it has, because I changed my password. Now I just got to figure out what my password is. I think this is my password. Cool. All right, so let's go to my workspaces here, and I have this Hello Directus DB project. We'll open up the code server, and then I had we'll open up the preview, and this should be Jesse Freeman. I don't want to save that. Okay. We'll open this up, and then let's see here. We'll split this. And we'll just do, sure. Sorry, just getting used to, I still don't understand Arc. This browser, it's not the best browser in the world. But I do like how it, oh my God, why is my music, everything is all like screwed up today. Okay, so here's what I've been working on. I have this very simple page now where I can go in and I'm trying to just get this to deal with this database. In fact, actually, I have, if I do, wait, hold on a second. This is git branch, this main git pull all, and whoops, git git fetch. Oh, I hate this. Git pull. If you wish to set tracked information for this branch, you can do. There is no tracking information. Get branch. B 0.1.0, and then get pull all. There we go. Okay. So I've been working on setting up this. I just wanted a really simple. Project. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. I like how when I try to mute my mic, it doesn't work. I gotta I think it's what I'm gonna work on next week. Is I gotta really get this this setup working correctly. My streaming setup sucks. All right, so let's come back here to Lovable, and where am I? Go to my dashboard, and I now have this. So what I was trying to do is I'm just trying to create a simple page, and I want to go step by step. And when I have Lovable do something, I'm going to verify the code myself. And while I'm going to quote unquote be vibe coding, I really just want to make sure that I'm actually validating every single thing that it does. And I'm just closing out some other windows on my other browser because it's just too much stuff that is open. The only other thing I was going to open up was I'll just make a tab for ChatGPT for this conversation I was having. All right. So what I'm trying to do is, let me move this up to here. I want it to be where we go to next step. We have to verify the roles. Then we come here and we create the required collections, blah, blah, and then we do this. I'm trying to set up this matrix here so that if I added a new role, let's see, we have public, let me just do this, test. It didn't make this scrollable like I wanted, but that's fine. And then I can delete this. And then we have admin, authenticated user, and public. So, all right, and then if we go back here, we'll have, these are going to be the tables, required fields, notes, users, user roles. All right, so here's what I want to have Lovable do while we're at this. So let's come back here. Whoops. And we want to refactor these setup into smaller components. And what I want to do is I actually want to watch. I kind of want to get a sense of like how it's editing these things, because I don't know, the last like 4 times I've tried this, it's just generated out garbage. And it just gets to the point where it becomes like so unwieldy that I can't do anything with it. We don't need this. So let's clear this real quick. And now I should be able to, so right now I got it to where I can actually manage this stuff. So there's a simple page for the setup. A lot of this stuff is just already in here, which is fine. And then I can manage the components. I've minimized this down to what only what I need. And we have hooks and libs and all this other great stuff that it's generating out for us. So let's let it finish fixing this up. While it does this, I'm going to go get a drink, and I will be right back, and then we're going to jump right into actually getting something working hopefully today. Because it's been a couple of days of not being able to produce anything, and it's not fun. All right, let's be productive now. This is going to my desks to move up so I can actually stand and reorganize myself and focus. So, all right, let's see what it did. It created a connectivity step, admin permission step. Fine, all these are new things. So now what I want to do before we go anywhere is let's come here. I'm going to do git fetch all, git pull all. And now I can start monitoring the files that are being created and managing this a little bit better. So if I now look at my components, I should have a component for each one of these steps. And the next thing I want to do now is I'm going to tell Lovable that all right, I want you to create a text file that can be saved and updated to hold the schematics for the Directus database and the Directus database and roles, database, tables, and roles. When the user updates the let me see, when the user updates the, what I wanted to do is when they update the setup properties, the changes should be saved back to the file, and when the setup page is loaded, it should restore those values. The goal is to have a flat file that can be used to rebuild, used to configure Descriptus correctly and not be hard-coded into the app. All right, let's see if we can have it do this. So basically what I want is, I'm trying to create a very simple way of setting up a database and the permissions and the admin access and all the things that need to go along with that. But what I want it to be is that whenever I make these changes, I finalize them, I should be able to save them back to this text file, commit that file, and then when the app loads up for the first time, it just uses all those values. So let's see how this works out. And then while it does this, okay, I've implemented a system that saves the Directus configuration to a JSON file and allows loading it back up. The configuration includes API details, roles, permissions. Let me see what it actually did here. So here's the config file actions, connectivity step, setup, fine, config file handling, fine. All right, and let's just have it refactor this permission. So I don't have anything connected just yet. My goal is I want to get the whole sort of UI basically working. And then what I'll do is I'll then start wiring it up to my actual database. And I need to do this piece by piece. And I think this is where I was failing before, is that when left to its own device, if you just have Lovable, do its own thing, it just creates whatever the hell it wants, and it just becomes an unmanageable mess. All right, looking at the permission setup, it's indeed quite large at over 200 lines. Let's refactor into smaller, more focused components to improve maintainability. Yeah, I also don't know what it's doing here. It should just be you either click on these. So the next thing we're going to do is remove the drop down from the permissions, permission users cells. They are not needed. All right, I refactored the permission step component to smaller 3/4. Improve the types for the new component. All right, let's fix the types. And then we are going to clean this up. And my goal here is that I really just want to get this to a place where I can always go in, modify the database, create some of the stuff that I need, and have a little bit of a better visualization of what the hell's going on when the app starts up. And then once I get this sort of basic setup working, then I'm going to, then I'll go through and I will clean this up. And by clean up, I just mean I'll connect it up. Where does it save this to? It's been saved to a file. All right, let's refactor these types to be more comprehensive and well organized, ensuring seamless with our component structure. All right, the types have been completely refactored, comprehensive interface. All right, let's see here now. And then, of course, there's going to be a build error because why would it not? And then my goal, at least my thinking for this, is that once I have this application set up and this sort of shell for creating a new database and permissions and schemas and all that other stuff, then I can always just clone this and then build on top of it. And that's where I need to get this to a place of, because my whole goal was to try to remove my dependency on Superbase. But I have a feeling that if I can't get this going in the next couple of weeks, I'm probably just going to wind up. I'm just going to wind up going back to it anyways. Okay, remove the dropdowns from the permission user cells. They are not needed. While it does this, I want to actually pull. I want to pull the changes down. And what I want to see is clear git status. All right, I want to see when I save a configuration. So, all right, it's actually saving this. It didn't understand what I wanted it to do. It's saving this to a file, but I don't really want that. I want it to be actually inside. I want it to be part of the application. So we'll have to figure out how to convince it to write something like that. Because for me, this should go into public, and there should just be a setup JSON, and then that just gets updated based on these values. All right, so removing the dropdowns for the permissions. Okay. What what I don't understand is why does it have like users and notes and, oh, I see here. It's because it's read, update, read, create, update, and delete. It's, oh, I see. Users can be read and updated, and notes can be read and updated. Okay. The next thing I wanted to just do here was, okay, so let's tell it that it needs to, I want the setup JSON to live in the site itself. Create a setup.json file that lives in the public folder, and when changes are made to the setup form, they are written back to the setup JSON, and the file is used to pre-populate the fields. Replace the save/load with a download config, but with a download button and a reset that prompts you to confirm before resetting, and just create a new setup JSON file for clearing with default values. All right, let's see if this can actually set this up. I feel like I've been doing this for weeks now, just trying to get this entire workflow working the way that I feel comfortable with it, because a lot of the problems are that I can't, as much as I love the concept of vibe coding, I can't stand giving up control to the AI because it's just so bad at like retaining context or doing, the things that you want it to do. So we're gonna have to just keep babysitting it like this. All right, I'll implement a system where the configurations store directly in the setup JSON in the public folder with download and reset functionalities instead of the current save/load buttons. The user now lives in the setup JSON in the public folder. This app loads this file on startup and uses it to populate the form. I replace the save buttons with a save change. Note that in a real application, you would need a proper API endpoint to save changes to the server-side file. Your configuration has been saved. Initial configuration loaded success. Let me see what it actually did here. It created a setup JSON. It changed the UI. I guess it added the alert boxes. So now if I want to reset, I can hit yes. I can download the config. Let me open this with, I'll just open it with Visual Studio Code off screen just to see what it did. All right. All right, I just want to note that in a real application, you would need a proper API endpoint to save changes to the server-side file. I want you to implement the logic required to load and save the setup JSON file properly. All right, while it does that, I'm going to go back here and let's fetch all these changes. We'll clear this, and here we go. So go to the next step in the schema, setup. We have the permissions, read, create, update, and delete. I can add roles, and just out of curiosity, I want to just disable all these and see if it's actually being saved. Download configuration. I'm going to open this JSON. The only thing that's set to true three allowed. Permissions 1-3 allowed if public true. All right, fine. I think this is working correctly. Let's go back to Lovable and see what I've implemented logic to properly. No, so I hate when it does this password stuff. I'll implement the logic. I've implemented logic to properly load and save the setup JSON file. The app now loads configuration from local storage first available, then falls back to the default setup. Changes are saved to the local storage for persistence between sessions, and configuration can be reset to the original setup JSON values. All right, so I'm going to refresh this. Hello world. Let's see if this gets saved. We should go here. Wait, what is going on here? Save change load successfully. Stop doing this. There's like a weird thing that I've noticed in the way that it sets up these like whenever it sees there's a password, like the browser just continually forces itself to try to load back up or like auto save your password. Hello world. Let's save this and reload this. All right, and now the real question is, let's come here. Let's fetch these changes. And now what I want to see is in this setup file, we should go back here and we'll refresh this. And we'll do hello world test. And let's save the changes. So yeah, I don't understand what's being saved here. Save config to server. So I don't want it to save to local files. So let me do this here. I don't want to save anything to local storage. I want to save it to the setup JSON file. I'm just trying to get a sense of what it's actually doing here. All right, the code has been updated to save directly to the sub.json instead of the local. However, please note that in a browser environment, JavaScript cannot directly write to files on the server due to security restrictions. In a real production environment, you would need to implement a server-side API endpoint that receives the configuration and writes. The code includes an alert to inform users of this limitation. So I guess this won't work. All right, so this isn't doing what I want it to do. And I guess this isn't working the way that I thought it would. Okay. Let's go back to all right. Okay. Remove the okay, remove the logic to save to the setup JSON, but keep it How do I want to do this? I want it to be able to load this stuff from the JSON file. Let me ask ChatGPT for a second here. For a Vite/React app, I want the setup to read and write to a setup.json file in the public folder, but Lovable is telling me I'll need an endpoint. What suggestions do you have for creating a way to set up the entire site from a JSON file, but still be able to save changes to it while in dev? Place setup. All right, let me see if I can tell Lovable to see if we can implement this. Set a file with a dev-only API route. Let's create this implementation following your requirement. Because if I can get this to my idea is that I don't want to actually like sit here and manage a lot of this stuff. Like I don't want to use this as a alternative to building out a database. Like that's what Directus can do. Ooh, interesting. Couldn't install dependency. Vite plugin middleware. Update your Vite. We need to update your Vite configuration to add an API middleware. Now let's update the Vite configuration. Huh. Interesting. I wonder why I can't write this. Let me help you fix the error with installing the package. It seems like we're having an issue with the specific package Vite plugin middleware. Let's implement a different approach using Express with Vite's middleware integration, which is more stable and well supported. Sure. I mean, this is all just debug code, but long story short, what I wanted to be able to do is I wanted to actually have a place where the AI can write its updates to the JSON file. The JSON file gets re-uploaded, and then I can view and approve the changes and just have some basic modification to them. I've implemented custom Vite program that creates an endpoint for managing JSON. This avoids the need for external. All right, so test. Let's save it. Let's refresh it. And this is working. So now the real question is, let's pull this all down. All right. So now let's go here and setup is empty. We're going to do test. We're going to hit save and close this out and then refresh. Now the real question is, where the hell is it saving this? What is it actually saving to? Configuration loaded successfully from setup JSON. But this doesn't make any sense because this setup JSON test 2. We'll save that. And now let's refresh this app. Yeah, it's like not pulling this up from anything. So wait, let's debug this real quick. I want to see in the, well, let's first see in the console if there's any success true. Fine. What is going on? So let's see here. Network. This setup file. So it is hitting the API setup. But how do I know that this is actually... Okay, so let's look at this. Let's look at the... There should be a API point somewhere here that handles the saving. Well, you know what we can do? Get status. All right, so let's try it this way. I'm actually just going to refresh this. It should say nothing. Test. Close this, and we're going to hit Save Changes. And now get status modified setup JSON. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so we no longer need this. We'll delete this. And now, if we do test2, save it, get status, git add, git commit, remove old setup, and testing new setup. So now when we reload this, it should say test2, right? And when we come here, this is going to load up, this should load up the, let me refresh this whole thing. This should load up the change that I just pushed to GitHub. Here we go, external commit, right? I'll come here, and now that's weird that it didn't, why didn't it load that up? Test, save, unable to save configuration. Now, the real question is, wait, did I break this here too? Where did all my... What just happened? And did I just like lose all my tabs? What is going on here? I wanted the hello DirectSDB code server. Fine. I wanted to make a thing to the right, which was coder, Jesse Freeman. Wait, what is this project called? Front end, fine. Why am I not able to ports? Did something just happen to my server? I don't know what I'm doing. For some reason, my brain decided this doesn't feel like working anymore. Honestly, what I'd rather be doing today is just playing colonization, which I think I might actually just wind up going and doing soon. All right. What I wanted to see here was if we remove this, and this did save the change. So the real question is, why won't Lovable console clear? Eric, if you failed to execute JSON response like is not a valid JSON. All right, let's see if it knows what's going on here. Do you know? I want you to look into fixing this error I'm getting when trying to save the setup JSON. I think I'm going down a weird rabbit hole. I think what I really just need is this thing just to, well, no, this is fine. I need it. The error signature indicating that the response starts with HTML instead of JSON. Looking at the network request logs, I can see that when the API setup endpoint is called, it's returning the entire set of processing. Yes, the custom Vite plugin for handling requests isn't being properly invoked. All right, let's see if this actually saves now. Let's get started here. Test 1. We'll save the change. Configuration has been saved. If we restart this, it's now being loaded up from this. And just out of curiosity, I'm just downloading this and taking a look. And I just want to see, okay, good. So locally, I was able to download, set this, and this is good. So now what I want to see is, excuse me, git clear. Oh, sorry, clear. Git fetch all. Error. Your local change following the files would be overwritten by merge. Oh, git status. Git reset. All right, let's clear this out. Now git pull all, git fetch all, git pull all. I just want to make sure I got all the changes. Clear this out. Now if I, test local. If I save these changes, we'll see that the setup gets saved. And now what I want to do is git add all, git commit, testing local settings, or setup JSON, save. All right, so we're going to push this now back up to Git, and then we're going to see if Lovable now will pull these changes down. And we should see it now say test local once it actually restores the changes we made or that we pushed up to GitHub. So now it's saying testing local setup JSON saved. Come here, and this isn't doing anything. And this is weird. Let's take a look at what's going on in the file here. So test local is working here. Configuration for server. Let's try this again. Let's reload this and see if there's an error. Okay. All right, so let's copy this. I am now getting a similar error when trying to locally load the setup.json. I forgot to give it the errors, but it can read the console, so hopefully it'll give itself the context. All right. And then once this is done, what this is going to allow me to do is then I can tell Lovable, like, hey, go into the setup file, make all your changes to what the database should be there, and then I'll rerun setup, and then that should allow me to use the AI to clean up and like modify the database and do all that stuff while I can focus more on the bigger picture. All right, we're modifying the plugin to strictly match the URL, added more robust error handling. There we go, test local. Now, what I've learned in the past from trying to hack together some database stuff is that this doesn't actually save its changes. So if I did test online, hit save, it's not actually like it's not converting any of this, because this is in its own little container. So it's always a one-way thing. Let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of this. I'm going to move this up here. And what's basically happening is that if I work locally, I can make whatever changes I want, push it back up, and then it should just work fine, but it won't work in reverse. And that's fine. So what I want to do now is, let me go back to ChatGPT for a second, and let's have a little conversation with it. Oops, I didn't want to hit that. Okay. If I wanted to create a very basic hello world setup that would test the core functionality of the database and ensure the setup page has full access to all the APIs and permissions were set correctly, what would that look like? This is my problems. I can't stand. I really am not a back-end guy, so I shouldn't say can't stand it, because I do it. But like, this is not where I want to be right now. So what I'm trying to figure out is, if I could just simplify this, and then I can focus on the stuff that I really like, which is front end. Then I'll be in a good place. All right. It would look like this. Collections, hello world, primary key string data, one row message, hello world, roles and permission, full CRUD on hello world, read all, check, public, read aloud, setup, test setups via your setup page, collections, returns rows, works as admin, role access confirmed. Want a JSON to create the collection? Yes. Authenticated, full access, public read permission, create hello world collection. What about creating a user and authenticating and testing their use token to test permission. This should return hello world if the permissions are working. Want a single script to run all three. Create user as admin. No, you are not following. I want to set up a simple table, roles, and 2 users admin and editor. And 3 users, then run through each user to confirm their roles are set up correctly, and they can work with the tables. The initial database and the initial table and roles needs to be set up by the admin account. All right, so the idea here is that we're just going to, here's a clean minimalistic plan. We're going to create a test table. We're going to give it full access, and we're going to make sure that the admin has full access, that the editor can CRUD on rows, CRUD on rows, and the public only read where public. The user can create it by the users, created by admin, the editor. Public, no login, uses roles automatically, and then the permissions validate the steps, 1 per user. Create a user if needed, login, get token, create and read test rows using token, confirm access. Want a full JSON/fetch base? Yes, and I want a full spec on how to execute this and the expected results. I hate that it uses like all these stupid emojis everywhere. Fine, okay. I want to bundle this into a single dev setup script with fetch calls. Can you consolidate this as a prompt without the emoji? Okay, so now what we want to do is now I'm going to have Lovable create. All right. What I actually want to do first is I want to test out the initial connectivity. Well, let's see what it has. Let's see what it is. I want to set up the foundation for this before we start wiring up the actual user. The actual API URL user name/password. All right, let's see if we can get it to just basically build out a flow for this. And I'm going to try to get this to tie it into the into this setup process. All right, I'll help you set up this foundation. It's writing out all these different types, and I guess this is going through now and making sure that this basic stuff works. I have a feeling it's not actually following what I wanted to do, but that's fine. We're gonna tie this whole thing back together again. All right, I guess it's taking its sweet time. Because then the next thing is that once we have, I guess, like this basic foundation working, then I want to switch it over to actually connecting to the real database and testing it out. I don't know how it's mocking this up right now, so let me see. Did it finish? Go fix your errors. Whoops, I can't see my window. Try to fix your errors, and I'm going to, in the intro, I'm just going to set up a new account for Superbase and just see if I can get this. I'm just going to do a backup because I'm kind of getting tired of having to like hack around all this stuff. Account preferences. Trying to see. Oh, here. Has it finished? All right. So the next step is to test tables, authentication, public access. Confuse the public user. Next. Admin access, schema, permissions. All right, what I wanted to do is, okay, let's do this. I've replaced the flask icon with a beaker. Okay, whatever. All right, I want to clean up the flow of this setup page. The first page connectivity needs the hold on, actually let me just double check with for creating the authentication between the front end on Lovable and the back end on my local server. What auth is needed? The URL to directus and the admin user / pass. Anything else? I just want to figure out what the bare minimum is for me to connect to. The director's URL, your backend points to whatever. All right. Refresh token if session persistence needed. Admin role must already exist with setup permissions. Tell me. I'm new to. All right, I'm new to Directus. I have this is my template that builds the workspace. Is there something else I need to configure to make sure the default admin can make all the changes I need? Let's see here. Coder, template, Directus. All right, I'm just going to feed it my my template and see what it thinks about this. Okay, your template looks solid overall. Here's what you should double check to ensure your default directives to make it fully set up. Setting admin email and admin password environment triggers directives to create a super admin. Exposing the admin panel via coder app. Grant full. What you might be missing or should configure. Ensure directives actually uses your admin email. Directives bootstrap only creates the admin user once on first run. If the DB already exists, it will skip user creation. Suggestions: wipe/recreate var/lib MySQL on new workspace, or use directives users create explicit. Make sure the admin role exists and has full permissions. Bootstrap creates the admin role, but you should still check it has access to all collections field via the API. Optionally call permissions as part of the setup to validate the admin can read. Enable schema creation externally. If you're not blocking anything, but to allow front ends like Lovable to run setup, admin must be able to call GWT expiry and refresh option for Lovable. Custom role. If you expect it to test multiple user roles, editor public, those roles must be created via post roles. Assign permission. All right. How can I add the test to my template that ensures the admin user that is created has the correct permissions? Validate the admin access to self and validate the permissions. Let me know if you want it to fail the build of these checks return errors. Yes, it should fail. Are there any commands if the admin doesn't have the proper permissions to do everything through the API? Are there other commands I need to run to get this set up properly? Manually assign full permissions to the admin role, but normally directives grants full permission to default. Let me know if you want. Wait, hold on a second. I can test this, can't I? Yeah, let me do this. I want to actually test this. Where's my database? Hello, directives backend terminal. What I wanted to see is I should be able to run this stuff. Oh, all right. It's whatever. All right. Let me just update. I'll just update the. I'll just update the template. Where is this startup script? All right, here's your updated script. All right, we're going to do one quick test, finish this up, and then I have to start getting ready for Passover. All right, this is version 50. This will be version 59. Excuse me. Let's update this and see if it runs correctly. I'm just trying to read the logs while it goes through everything and see if this actually works. These emojis that it adds in are so annoying. Warning, fine, deprecated, blah, 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 blah. Come on. Fine, package no longer supported, who cares? Did it finish this? Cannot resolve necessary dependency. Conflict peer dependency. Fine. I can't tell if it's actually done or not. No, I'm taking that as a no. Oh, here we go. All right. Did it run the initial database initialized, skipped installs, running migrations done, start? All right, cannot index string. So it threw an error and it didn't finish building. All right, post auth 205. Can not index. All right, so let's see. Use the get role to fetch. Yes. Oops. All right. I'm going to start wrapping up this stream because I got some other stuff I need to do to prepare for Passover today. But for those of you who have been watching, I appreciate it. I won't be able to stream for the next couple of days. I'm going to be going upstate. So I'll be back on Thursday, I guess, and we'll take it from there. So thanks again, and I will see you around.